Hey everybody, I'm CJ Coolidge. I'm founder of the American Dreamwork Project and author of the Square Dime Letters, Moving from a Mechanical to an Organic Business Model. Now my latest offering is the soon-to-be published book, Recession Proof, which is how anybody and any company can thrive in any economy. And today I want to talk to you about some pure profit gold that lies just out of reach of almost any enterprise. It's pure profit gold. And I want to talk about how natural it is that most of us can't even recognize that it's even there. Listen to this story and you'll understand why. Akama was 63 years old. He traveled from his home in Aboriginal Australia to New York. He was going to preview a network documentary of life in the Australian outback that was centered on his tribe. Now, for his entire life, you got to know, this guy lived among his tribesmen, as far removed from the hustle and bustle of modern city life as I can imagine anyway. His people traveled by what? Foot, by canoe, as they had for centuries. Now, once he got here, Akama and his crew, they got to the television studio, and there he was reunited with everybody that had come to know in Australia, and they were really excited to see each other. And they said, "Hey, how do you like life in New York so far?" And Akama said, "I don't know. I can't see anything." Now, strange as that may sound, Akama told the truth. You know, for 63 years, his body had never moved through space any faster than a canoe in a running stream. Things passed by very slowly. Now, suddenly, he's traveling in a limo at 70 miles an hour. Now, at that speed, for the first time, Akama is unable to focus his eyes to recognize anything he passed along the way. You can imagine that. Now, in time, he did adjust. So he was able to see even at 70 miles an hour. Now, I think that we're in a similar position. Think about it. We've been placed in a world that is moving and changing so much faster than the world we have known and the world that we have had our senses adjusted to. The result? Much of what is around us we can't even see. And what we cannot see, we believe does not exist. Now, we know things are in flux, but rather than adjust, we're waiting for things to stabilize or get back to normal. Here's a news flash for you. Everything is changing. Everything. There is no stabilization coming. In fact, the rate of change, you got to realize, is accelerating. The speed of change is so great right now that more than half of the U.S. business executives are just now starting to admit that they're struggling with its pace. That's a condition I call hybridynamics. Hybridynamics affects everything. It affects individuals, it affects companies, but a lot of what is affected is essentially ignored because we, like Akama, just can't see it. I want to help a bit here. I want to shine some focus on 5 important areas of change that if we can start to see them, we can strike that pure profit gold for ourselves and for our companies for years to come. Now, these 5 have changed almost beyond recognition from our former perception of them. Here they are. First one, employees. Second one, customers. Third one, markets. Fourth one, costs. Fifth one, value. Let's handle them one at a time. The first one, employees are changing. Now, I'm not talking about Gen X or Gen Y or generational thinking here. I'm talking about the employee you've had around for a while that you like to keep around. I'm talking about employees' abilities and aspirations. That is, the folks that are in your place. Now, what your employees once wanted to do for you, they may no longer want to do. I mean, they've grown a bit. They have changed some. They've matured in their current role, and they desire new challenges. Now, some may have been young and had young children at home. They didn't want to travel. They may now have children at home and don't want to travel where they once did. And then those who have children who maybe left the nest and now they want to travel, maybe in jobs that you don't have travel for because that's how you've always seen them. You see, people who went through work for you in one phase of their lives grew in their job and grew in their life's phases, and somehow when we look at them now, we don't see them as the unique individuals they are or they have become. We often see them as people that we hired, same people we hired. Those individuals hold the IP, what's it called, the intellectual property of our organization, and they're changing just as quickly as everything else. But we as employers, as a rule, have no systematic way to deal with those factors. And we're doing a horrible job adjusting the roles and processes to take advantage of the opportunities that these changes in our workforce actually create. Now instead, you risk underutilizing the people you have, and you just let them leave when your mechanical models no longer require their services. So you put them in that little box, that you shut the one that's on your org chart, and you shut them into one of those little roles, and when they don't fit, you just let them go. That's going to cost you money. Employees are changing. Secondly, customers are changing. Now, what a customer wants from you is different from what he wanted yesterday. And what he will want in the future is different from what he wants today. Customers are seemingly more fickle than ever. 80% of customers who leave say that they were satisfied or very satisfied with our services, but they left you hoping to find a better value from another provider. Remember, satisfied or very satisfied. Our offerings have been devised and perfected from our perspectives. This is a problem. Our internal systems are mechanically created to provide what we think we should provide. So adapting to a customer's felt need takes a back seat to what we believe about the way things are. That's not our policy, we say. We can't do that. Then we justify our position. We've never had to do that before. We don't need to start now, coming from leadership. But today, we must realize that customers are changing, and they will require our interface to be different than it's ever been before. The third thing, the third piece, the third unseen, is that markets are changing. Do you realize that the entire market has a potential of an international corporation now? What was once, just a little while ago, a regionally valued offering may now be available and offered by some remote producer somewhere in the third world, like China. You know that outsourcing and offshoring can render any offering you have obsolete, just like this. And when faced with these challenges, we make a false assumption that we just need to work harder at things that have worked before, even if they've always worked before. You know what I'm talking about. So you force your salespeople to make more calls. We push our service people to do more things. We push our management to work longer. And you know what? These things don't necessarily cause us to produce the impact our business needs. I think people are way overworked and way underproductive as they do things that just don't really matter throughout the organization. There's all kind of stuff like that. So employees have changed, customers have changed, and markets, they've changed too. The fourth one, it's the cost and the cost structures in our companies. These have also changed. Think about it. Energy, healthcare, taxation, insurance, natural resources, people costs, they're all rising at unprecedented rates. And the forces that are pushing them, realize this, are not even within our control. Interestingly enough, they have never been within our control. But we act as though they are, and we believe that we have to make their containment some significant part of our strategic management initiatives. So we spend $1 to save a dime. We focus on financial statements, correcting them as if they were the business themselves, but they're not. Consider a couple of these. You can't control cost of energy. China puts an open order around the market for $200 a barrel for oil. And guess what? That day, oil is $200 a barrel. Doesn't matter what the supply is. You can't control insurance cost. I mean, you have a couple more earthquakes or a few tornadoes, and you're going to find out that your insurance costs, which are really a function of the cost that the benefit paid, are out of control. You can't control your people cost. I mean, when you look at the lack of talent available in the workplace, that these people are not available, the ones who can do the significant tasks that you need done, the tasks that you need done in the future that we don't even know what it's going to look like, you realize that you're not going to be able to control or to limit the amount of money you pay to get those skills done. And to make it irrational effort, this irrational effort to try to control that which is uncontrollable, well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. The fifth piece, the fifth change is product value. It's changing. Whatever I can produce today will be more efficiently produced in the future. You see, the shelf life of ideas today is shorter than ever. The window of profitable opportunity is smaller than ever. But if I still function as if I can develop something and then get a structure to how it works and then sell it profitably and then rest as though I've arrived at something that will last, I'm deceived and I'm going to miss. See, we resent copycats, or the competitor that says he does exactly what we do but at a better price. We gripe about the imitator in the third world who unjustly sells our customers, but you know what? These things are reality. We're going to have to see our products change and develop. We're going to have to see creativity and innovation in our operation in order to maintain any hope of a competitive advantage. We can't just assume we know what it is we should be offering. We're going to have to realize that all value exists only from the perspective of the customer, not from the perspective of me. Now, there are many, many more than these 5, but they provide enough to exhaust any mechanically minded manager.